True success begins within. It does not begin with the number of followers you have, the possessions you own, or the titles that people attach to your name. It begins the moment you turn inward and begin to confront your weaknesses, purify your heart, and seek growth that pleases Allah. The external world often distracts us with images of success that are shallow and temporary, but the true definition of success is the peace you feel when your heart is aligned with your purpose. You cannot fake that peace, and you cannot buy it. It comes from sincerity, humility, and a heart that knows its creator. When you stop chasing validation from others, you begin to hear your own soul again. The noise of comparison fades, and the clarity of purpose starts to appear. You start realizing that the one person you need to impress is not someone scrolling through a screen, it is Allah, who sees your every intention. The moment you live for His approval instead of people's praise, you step into a level of freedom that no human can take from you. You become content with where you are because you trust that Allah's plan is better than your own timeline. Improving yourself for the sake of Allah is not just about prayer or ritual, it's about transformation. It's about being honest with yourself, recognizing where you fall short, and working daily to become better. It's about speaking with kindness when you're angry, forgiving when you're hurt, and staying patient when life tests you. Every small effort counts because Allah sees the struggle behind the smile, the sincerity behind the silence, and the perseverance behind every hidden pain. The path to true success demands that you stop pretending to be perfect and start being real. It asks you to accept that you will fall, fail, and stumble, but as long as your intention is to rise again for Allah, every setback becomes a stepping stone. You don't have to compete with others. You only need to compete with the version of yourself from yesterday. That's where real growth happens, in the quiet commitment to be just a little better than before. Focusing within means learning to be content with the unseen process. Often we plant seeds and expect instant results, forgetting that Allah is the one who makes them grow. Sometimes your prayers are answered in silence, your efforts are recognized in secret, and your progress is seen only by Allah. That's why sincerity matters more than visibility. What the world can't see, Allah counts. What the world ignores, Allah rewards. There's a certain beauty in detaching your worth from people's opinions. The moment you stop measuring your value through others' eyes, you begin to experience real freedom. You no longer feel the need to explain your journey, justify your pace, or prove your faith. You just focus on your lane, your growth, and your connection with Allah. Because the truth is, people's opinions change like the wind, but Allah's mercy and knowledge of your heart never change. True success within also means being accountable to yourself. It's about asking, am I becoming someone Allah is pleased with? Instead of, am I becoming someone people admire? It's about replacing comparison with gratitude and distraction with purpose. The more you focus on your heart, the more you realize that every good deed, every act of patience, every moment of self-control shapes the person you are becoming. You're not defined by where you are, you're defined by what you're striving for. When you purify your heart, your intentions align with your actions. You begin to act with sincerity, not for applause but for acceptance from Allah. Your goals become simpler yet more powerful to please your Creator in every step. And that shift in intention changes everything: how you speak, how you think, and how you respond to life's tests. You find peace not because life becomes easier, but because your soul finds clarity in submission. The greatest transformation happens when you stop waiting for external change and start working on internal healing. It's when you realize that your happiness, peace, and strength were never meant to be dependent on people. They are the result of your connection with Allah, a connection built through prayer, repentance, gratitude, and constant self-reflection. Every moment spent in self-improvement for His sake is a moment of worship, even if no one else notices. In truth, when you focus on becoming better for Allah, Success begins to follow you naturally. Not the kind of success that fades when circumstances change, but the kind that stays because it is rooted in faith. You begin to experience contentment even when things don't go your way, confidence even in uncertainty, and hope even in difficulty, because you understand that as long as you are growing within, you are already succeeding in the eyes of the one who matters most. Allah is the ultimate defender. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone or prove your worth to those who misunderstand you. The truth is, the more you try to justify yourself to people, the more exhausted you become because no one truly knows your heart except Allah. People see your actions, but Allah sees your intentions. They hear your words, but Allah hears your silence. They may doubt you, criticize you, or misjudge you, but the one who created you knows the reality that no one else can see. And when he knows, that is enough. There are moments in life when you'll feel falsely accused, betrayed, or wronged. You'll want to speak out, to defend yourself, to make them understand your side, but sometimes silence is your greatest response. When you leave the matter to Allah, He becomes your defender in ways no human ever could. He exposes lies without you uttering a word. He clears your name without you fighting back. He raises your status while others try to pull you down. That is the power of trusting the defender of hearts. We often think that strength means standing up and confronting everyone who hurts us. But true strength is in restraint. It's in knowing that Allah's justice is more complete, more perfect, and more precise than anything you could achieve on your own. When someone wrongs you and you choose patience, you're not weak, you're wise. You're choosing to let the one with perfect knowledge handle what you can't. You're showing that your trust is not in people's opinions, but in Allah's promise that He is with those who are patient. Sometimes Allah allows you to be misunderstood so that you can learn who truly matters. He protects you from seeking validation in the wrong places. Every false judgment becomes a reminder that your worth does not come from the creation, but from the Creator. When you're sincere, even if the world doubts you, Allah will vindicate you in ways that leave no doubt. When you remain quiet, He lets your actions speak louder than your defense. When you stay humble, He raises you in honor before the right people at the right time. When you hand your pain to Allah, He doesn't ignore it, He carries it. He sees the tears you hold back, the dignity you preserve, and the forgiveness you offer despite the hurt. He records every act of patience, every silent prayer, every moment you chose peace over pride, and He promises that nothing is lost with Him. The one who relies on Allah's justice never loses, even when it looks like defeat. There will be times when it feels unfair, when those who wronged you seem to prosper, and those who were honest are overlooked. But Allah's timing is not your timing. He delays justice not to deny it, but to deliver it perfectly. Sometimes He lets the situation unfold longer so that the truth becomes undeniable. Sometimes He lets you go through it so you can grow through it. And when His justice arrives, it comes with wisdom, restoring not just your reputation, but your peace. When you know that Allah defends you, you no longer fear people's opinions. Their judgment can't harm what Allah has already protected. You learn to move with quiet confidence, not because everyone believes in you, but because you know Allah never left you. You no longer waste energy proving yourself to people who will never understand. Instead, you focus on being true to your purpose, leaving the rest to the one who never misjudges. Letting Allah defend you also means trusting Him enough to forgive others. You let go not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. You realize that holding on to grudges keeps your heart heavy, while trusting Allah to handle justice keeps it pure. Every time you forgive, you free yourself from bitterness. Every time you show mercy, you draw closer to the most merciful. Every time you choose patience, you invite divine help into your life. When you stop defending yourself to the world, you make space for Allah's defense to unfold. You'll notice how he turns hearts in your favor, how he replaces the wrong people with better ones, and how he grants you honor after humiliation. Sometimes he lets you lose in public so he can bless you in private. Sometimes he lets others talk so that your silence becomes your strength. That is how Allah defends those who trust him quietly, powerfully, and completely. The peace that comes from knowing Allah is your defender is unlike anything else. It gives you the courage to walk through trials with dignity, to respond to hatred with grace, and to keep doing good even when misunderstood. You no longer need to chase fairness from people because you trust the justice of the one who sees all. And that trust becomes your armor, invisible, unshakable, and stronger than any word spoken against you. Challenges are divine training. Every hardship you face, every tear you shed, and every pain you endure has been placed in your path by Allah for a reason. It is never random. Every difficulty carries within it a lesson that your soul needs in order to grow. Sometimes Allah puts you through moments that seem unbearable, not to break you, but to reshape you into who you are meant to become. The fire that refines gold also burns, but the result is purity and beauty. Likewise, the tests of life refine your faith, cleanse your heart, and strengthen your spirit in ways comfort never could. When life feels heavy, when you feel like you can't take another step, remember that even in those moments, Allah is training you for something greater. He is teaching you patience when you want to give up, resilience when you want to run away, and trust when you can't see the way forward. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour is a classroom where Allah is your teacher and your soul is the student. You may not understand the lesson while you're in it, but one day you will look back and realize that what once felt like destruction was actually preparation. We often ask Allah to strengthen us, but we forget that strength is built through struggle. You can't develop patience without waiting. You can't develop courage without fear. You can't develop faith without uncertainty. So when Allah tests you, He's not punishing you. He's answering your prayers for growth in the way that truly builds you. He removes what you don't need, exposes what you must fix, and places you in situations where your faith is forced to rise above your fear. There are moments when you feel abandoned, when your dua seems unanswered, and you start to question your worth. But even silence from Allah is a form of mercy. In that silence, He is teaching you to depend not on results but on trust. He is molding your heart to stay firm even when your circumstances shake. You are never alone in your challenges. You are being watched, guided, and shaped by the one who loves you more than anyone ever could. What feels like isolation is often divine attention. Sometimes Allah will close doors so you stop chasing what harms you. He will make people leave so you learn to rely on Him. He will remove comforts so you grow closer to His remembrance. What you perceive as loss is often protection. What you call rejection is redirection. Allah's wisdom is beyond what your eyes can see. Every struggle has a purpose, and every setback carries within it the seed of your next breakthrough. You just have to stay patient long enough to see the wisdom unfold. When Allah trains you through hardship, He's not trying to destroy your peace, He's trying to deepen it. He takes you through storms so you can learn that peace isn't the absence of difficulty. It's the presence of faith within difficulty. He lets you experience moments of pain so that you truly appreciate the sweetness of relief. Without darkness, you would never understand light. Without trials, you would never experience the beauty of Tawakkul, that unshakable trust in Allah's plan. Every prophet was tested before being elevated. Every believer who reached strength did so by first being broken. Tests are signs of Allah's love, not His anger. When He tests you, it's a sign that He wants you closer to Him. The heavier the test, the greater the transformation awaiting you. And the more you turn to Him in those moments, the more He molds your heart into something stronger, softer, and more resilient than before. When you start to see challenges as divine training, your entire perspective on life changes. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is Allah teaching me? You stop resisting what happens and start embracing it with trust. Because the truth is, nothing happens to you, everything happens for you. Every moment of hardship is an opportunity to polish your soul, refine your patience, and strengthen your connection with Allah. There's a kind of wisdom that only pain can teach. When you lose someone, you learn gratitude for presence. When you face failure, you learn humility. When you face betrayal, you learn reliance on Allah. The lessons hidden within pain are priceless because they carve depth into your soul and open your eyes to realities comfort could never reveal. And once you've been through enough, you realize that what once broke you has become the reason you now stand taller, wiser, and closer to your Creator. Every difficulty you face is shaping your heart for something divine. What you call struggle is actually spiritual training, preparing you for blessings you're not yet ready to handle. The sleepless nights, the quiet tears, the moments of fear, all of it is molding you into someone who can carry the weight of greater responsibilities, deeper faith, and unshakable trust. Challenges are not meant to weaken you, they are meant to awaken you, to show you who you truly are when your only strength is Allah. Focus on effort, not outcome. Life becomes so much lighter when you stop trying to control everything and instead pour your heart into doing what's right for the sake of Allah. Too often, we measure success by what we see, by results, rewards, or recognition, forgetting that Allah measures success by sincerity and effort. What matters most is not whether you reached the destination, but whether you walked the path with faith. When your focus shifts from results to purpose, peace begins to settle into your heart because you no longer feel enslaved to the outcome. You're simply devoted to the effort. Allah never asked you to control results, He only asked you to try your best. Every moment you dedicate, every tear you shed, every prayer you whisper, it all counts. Even when you fail, even when nothing seems to work, Allah sees the sincerity behind your effort. He knows the nights you stayed awake praying, the moments you almost gave up but didn't, and the quiet sacrifices you made when no one was watching. Success in His eyes is not about worldly achievement, it's about the persistence of your heart in striving for what's right. When you attach your happiness to outcomes, you make it fragile. But when you attach it to effort, it becomes unbreakable. You learn to find joy in the process, in the simple act of trying, of showing up, of doing good even when you're tired. The outcome is not in your hands, and that's what makes effort sacred. Because every action you take with pure intention is already a form of worship. Whether you succeed or fail in worldly terms, you've already succeeded spiritually if your heart was sincere. There will be times when you give your all and still face disappointment. You'll do your best, but things won't unfold the way you hoped. In those moments, it's easy to feel like your effort was wasted, but nothing done for Allah ever goes to waste. Every step taken for His sake is recorded, every attempt is valued, and every struggle is rewarded. Sometimes Allah withholds the result you want to give you the reward you need. What seems like failure in your eyes might be protection in His wisdom. Trusting Allah with the outcome doesn't mean being passive. It means doing your part with excellence, knowing that whatever follows is what's best for you. It's about planting seeds with effort and letting Allah decide which ones bloom. Some seeds grow quickly, others take years, but all are seen. And even if you never witness the fruit of your labor in this life, know that Allah will show you its worth in the next. That's why the believer works with hope, not with anxiety. The focus is never on will this work, but always on am I doing this for the right reason. When your heart learns to trust Allah's plan, patience becomes easier. You stop rushing results and start appreciating the process. You realize that the delay is not a denial, it's a refinement. Allah might delay a blessing because you're not ready yet, or because He's preparing something even better. The effort you make during that waiting period is what shapes your soul, and when the right time comes, Everything will unfold effortlessly because you trusted instead of forcing. So many people burn out not because life is too hard, but because they're fighting for control over things that were never theirs. When you try to control outcomes, you carry the weight that belongs to Allah, but when you surrender that control, your heart feels light again. You realize that your job is effort, Allah's job is result, and He never fails in His promise to take care of those who rely on Him. When you truly internalize that, you stop living in constant fear and start living with steady faith. Every act of effort brings you closer to Allah, whether it leads to visible success or not. When you pray, even if you don't see change immediately, your heart is changing. When you give charity, even if the world doesn't notice, your soul is purified. When you forgive, even if they never apologize, your heart becomes free. The beauty of effort is that it transforms you long before it transforms your situation. That's why effort is more precious than outcome, because it's where your soul grows. The world celebrates results, but Allah celebrates sincerity. The world sees what you achieve, but Allah sees what you overcome. People might not understand how much effort you put into something, but Allah does. He knows how many times you stumbled and still kept going. He knows the thoughts you fought, the tears you wiped, the patience you maintained. Every bit of that effort adds weight to your scales of good deeds, even if the world gives you nothing in return. The peace that comes from focusing on effort is something only faith can give. You stop chasing perfection and start chasing purpose. You stop worrying about what if and start embracing Alhamdulillah. Because you finally understand that everything you do for Allah is recorded, remembered, and rewarded, even if no one else sees it. And when your effort is pure, you no longer fear the result, because you know that whatever Allah decrees in return will always be what's best for you. Purify your heart and intentions. Everything you do, every word you speak, every step you take carries weight with Allah based on what's inside your heart. The actions we perform on the outside are only reflections of what exists within. You can appear righteous in front of people, but if your intention is for praise, it loses its value in the sight of Allah. And you can be unnoticed, unseen, and unappreciated by people, yet your small sincere effort may be greater to Allah than 1,000 public deeds. The heart is where sincerity begins, and the moment you purify it, your life begins to align with divine peace. When your intentions are pure, your actions become lighter and more meaningful. You stop doing things to impress others and start doing them to please Allah. You begin to realize that you are not here to compete with people. You are here to fulfill your purpose. The way you pray, work, love, forgive, and help others transforms when your goal is Allah's pleasure. The purity of your heart gives power to your deeds. Even if no one thanks you, even if no one recognizes your sacrifice, Allah sees it all, and that knowledge fills your heart with tranquility that no applause could ever bring. A purified heart cannot coexist with arrogance, jealousy, or deceit. These are the diseases that eat away at sincerity and steal inner peace. To purify your heart means to release grudges, to let go of envy, and to stop holding on to pain that weighs you down. It's to trust that whatever Allah has given you is enough, and whatever He withheld was never meant for you. It's to be content even when life feels unfair, because you know the one who decreed it is never unjust. The more you cleanse your heart of resentment, the more space you create for contentment and gratitude to take root. Intentions are what separate an act of worship from a mere action. Two people can do the same thing, one gains reward, and the other gains nothing, simply because of what they carried in their hearts. When you work, study, help, or smile, and your purpose is to serve Allah, every action becomes a form of worship. But when your goal is to be seen, liked, or admired, the reward vanishes the moment the praise ends. That's why checking your intention is not a one-time act, it's a daily renewal. Before every action, ask yourself, is this for Allah or for people? Purifying your heart also means learning to forgive. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's strength of the soul. It's understanding that holding on to anger harms you more than the one who hurt you. It's freeing your heart from bitterness so that it can focus on growth. You don't forgive because others deserve it. You forgive because your heart deserves peace. And when you do that for the sake of Allah, you elevate yourself spiritually, because forgiveness is a reflection of mercy, and mercy is one of the closest qualities to divinity. There will be moments when your intentions are challenged, when you start something sincerely for Allah, but find your heart drifting toward recognition. That's when you must gently bring yourself back. Sincerity is like a fragile flame. If not protected, it flickers. You have to keep renewing it, shielding it from ego and pride. Every time you feel your heart seeking validation, remind yourself that Allah's approval is enough. Every time you feel unseen, remember that the one who sees all has already recorded your effort. A pure heart also leads to clarity. When your intentions are clean, your decisions become easier because you're no longer chasing confusion. You start seeing life for what it truly is, a temporary journey toward eternity. You stop seeking validation in fleeting things, and you begin to seek it in the eternal. The more you purify your heart, the more your vision clears and the more your steps align with purpose. You begin to move differently, speak differently, and even think differently because sincerity gives your soul direction. The beauty of purity is that it brings peace even in chaos. When you do something for Allah alone, you don't care how others respond. You don't crumble under criticism, nor do you get lost in praise. You find balance because your focus is on the one who never changes. You realize that you are not defined by how others perceive you, but by how Allah sees you. That kind of peace is rare, but it is found in the hearts of those who do everything with pure intentions and clean motives. Purification is not a one-time achievement, but a lifelong journey. Every day, the world will try to cloud your heart with greed, jealousy, or pride. Every day, you must fight to keep it clean through prayer, remembrance, gratitude, and humility. You must guard it from what corrupts it and feed it with what brings it closer to Allah. The more you nurture it, the stronger it becomes, until sincerity becomes your natural state of being, not something you have to force. When your heart is pure, your life flows with ease even when it's difficult. You find blessings in small things, lessons in hardships, and light in darkness. You start recognizing that what truly matters is not how much you achieve, but how sincerely you live. A pure heart turns even the simplest act, a smile, a prayer, a kind word, into a form of worship. Because when your intention is for Allah, everything you do, no matter how small, carries eternal value in His sight. Let go and let Allah. There comes a point in every believer's life when you realize that no matter how much you plan, strive, or control, things will only unfold according to the will of Allah. The sooner you learn to surrender, the lighter your soul becomes. Letting go is not giving up, it is choosing faith over fear. It is trusting that Allah knows what you do not know and sees what you cannot see. It is understanding that His plan, even when it doesn't make sense, is always working in your favor. The one who learns to let go walks through storms with calmness, because their heart is anchored in divine trust. When you let go of the need to control everything, you begin to experience peace that cannot be shaken by circumstances. You stop chasing certainty from the world and start finding security in the one who controls it. Letting Allah handle what's beyond your power is an act of worship. It is a declaration that you believe His wisdom is greater than your understanding. The heart that submits to Allah's plan stops worrying about outcomes, because it knows that whatever comes is written with mercy. There are moments when life feels like it's slipping out of your hands. The things you prayed for don't come when you expect them. The people you counted on walk away, and the plans you built fall apart. It's in those moments that Allah calls you closer, whispering to your heart, "Let go of what you cannot hold, I will take care of the rest." What you lose in this world is never truly lost if you gain Allah through it. When you surrender to Him, He replaces your pain with purpose, your confusion with clarity, and your worry with calm. Letting go also means releasing your attachment to outcomes. You do your best, you make your effort, and then you leave the results to Allah. You stop trying to control how people perceive you, how situations unfold, or how life should look. Instead, you trust that Allah's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. The believer who surrenders walks through uncertainty with serenity, knowing that Allah never fails those who rely on Him. What you think is falling apart might actually be falling into place, you just can't see it yet. Letting Allah handle the rest doesn't mean inaction, it means aligning your effort with trust. You still strive, but you strive with peace in your heart, not panic. You still work, but you work knowing that success is not in your hands. You still plan, but you plan with humility, understanding that Allah's will always prevails. True surrender is active faith. It is moving forward while holding Allah's promise close to your heart, knowing that nothing can harm you unless He allows it, and nothing can stop what He has decreed for you. When you truly trust Allah, patience becomes easier. You stop questioning why things happen and start understanding that every moment has a reason. The delay that frustrates you is the delay that protects you. The heartbreak that hurts you is the heartbreak that purifies you. The detour you didn't want to take is the path that leads you exactly where you need to be. When you release your attachment to control, you make space for Allah's wisdom to unfold in your life in the most beautiful way. Letting go also means freeing yourself from the weight of the past. The regrets, the mistakes, the pain, they all have a place in your journey, but they are not meant to imprison you. When you hand your past over to Allah, He transforms your wounds into wisdom. He turns every scar into a reminder of His mercy. The moment you stop holding on to what hurt you and start holding on to Him, your heart begins to heal. Because Allah never leaves an empty space in your life. He fills every loss with something better when you trust Him enough to let go. So many hearts remain restless because they are trying to carry what only Allah can handle. You were never meant to bear every burden alone. The moment you surrender your fears, worries, and desires to Him, you'll feel the weight lift. You'll realize that peace doesn't come from having everything under control. It comes from knowing that Allah is in control. Every hardship, every delay, every unanswered prayer is under His watchful eye, and nothing escapes His wisdom. Letting go is not a weakness. It is a sign of strength in faith. Letting Allah handle the rest also means trusting that what leaves you was never meant for you, and what's meant for you will never miss you. You no longer chase people or opportunities that slip away, because you believe in divine timing. The believer who lets go does not grieve endlessly over what's gone. They remain hopeful for what's coming. Allah's plans are always wrapped in mercy, even when they come disguised as loss. The more you trust Him, the more you'll see that everything that happened was part of His way of guiding you home to Him. When you let go and let Allah, you learn to live with your heart at ease, no matter the chaos around you. You start moving through life with a quiet strength, doing your best, praying deeply, trusting completely. You stop chasing what's temporary and start clinging to what's eternal. You realize that control was never the goal, connection was. And when your heart finally rests in the hands of Allah, you understand that the peace you were searching for was never outside you. It was always waiting for you in surrender.